Hey guys, so I'm here today to do a book review on The City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This is the fourth book in the Mortal Instruments series, and let me just say that this series gets better and better, I think, by each book. As I read each book, I keep thinking that this is my new favorite, but so far this has topped it, and I've already started on the last book that she's got out, City of Lost Souls, and oh my goodness, I don't know if I want the series to end. It is just that good. So if you couldn't tell, I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars, easily, hands down. It has been probably one of my favorite series I've ever read, if not my favorite. So I'll start off by giving you kind of a brief synopsis of the book. So this book picks up where City of Glass leaves off. I think from what I hear actually, that she was thinking of leaving the series off at City of Glass and then continuing on with another series, probably her Infernal Device series. But I'm so glad that she decided to write more and came out with this because it definitely gives you more insight to the other side characters, like Simon and Isabel and some newer ones that I'll get into as well. And that's what I really liked about this book, because they were just kind of there, and the main storyline focused on Clary and Jace. Not that I don't love them, because they're my favorite all-time people right now, but I wanted to know so much more about these other characters that the author didn't really touch on as much in the other series. So like I said, it starts off where City of Glass leaves off, and Clary is now training to become a shadow hunter, and all seems to be well in the world now that her and Jace can finally be together, now that they aren't brother and sister, and Simon's now adjusting, and everything's kind of going as planned, but as you know, those things don't last long in this kind of world. So Clary starts to notice that Jace is pulling away from her. He's not, she could tell something's wrong with him, and he's not coming forth about it. And in the meantime, you find out that Jace is having these bad dreams about killing Clary, and it's so real to him, and he's having them every night, that he's trying to avoid her so that that doesn't happen, and he doesn't want to hurt her. So the story kind of focuses on, with their storyline on that, and Clary trying to figure out what's happening to Jace, and what she can do to help, even though he's not really telling her, and why is he pushing her away. Then you also have the storyline of Simon, which I was so excited to read. I think Simon grows on me with each book, because the first book I didn't like him too much because he was the other guy, but as each book came out, he started more developing as a character. I think out of all the characters, he's probably got the greatest character development, I want to say, just because he starts out and he was just he just kind of was more inverted, kept himself, just him and Clary, and wasn't willing to go out there and do these out there things. And now he's a total bad A in these books because now, of course, he's a vampire. So you have his storyline going on because now he's a vampire, and he's also struggling between two girls. So he's dating Isabel, but he's also dating Maya from the Wolf Pack. And I thought that kind of part of the story was interesting too. And he's also struggling to just kind of be himself and coming out as this vampire, and shows how he's adjusting to life. And you also get to see more from Maya's storyline in this book too. You find out more about her past that was mentioned in other books, kind of what happened with her ex and everything. So yeah, that's pretty much what City of Fallen Angels is about in a nutshell. If you haven't read it, I would recommend reading it before maybe viewing this next part of my video where I actually talk about some big spoilers maybe. So if you haven't read it, definitely check this book out. It's so good, just like all the other ones, and you won't be disappointed. Alright, so as I'm reading this book, I can't help but notice a pattern with Jace and Clary, and it was driving me nuts the whole book. They would get into this big fight, Jace would ignore Clary, and then the minute he sees her, he just makes out with her, and they just have this big make-out session, and then something happens, and then get all mad and ignore each other all over again. It was driving me nuts. I'm like, okay, you finally have the chance to be together. I mean, I know with his dreams that's going on, but he should have just told her about it, and maybe she could have helped him like she ended up at the very end of the book, and they wouldn't be as worse off. Which brings me to another point. Jace needs to learn how, if there's something on his mind, he needs to just come forth and say it, so that you think he would have learned his lesson in the past, where if he kept something to himself for so long, it ends up being worse waiting that long to tell people than if you were just straightforward about it in the first place. So I think Jace definitely needs to learn how to communicate better. I don't know. I mean, I know he doesn't want to hurt her, but still, it's better than becoming a freaking depressed boy now all the time, not eating and constantly fighting with your girlfriend. That just didn't make sense to me. But this book, I definitely have to say, I was so much, I'm not more, like, I don't know, I became, like, really excited to read about Simon and what was going on with him, between him and Isabel and Maya, and when they all found out that they were dating, like, he was dating both of them, oh my gosh, I didn't know how I was expecting it, but that was kind of funny for me. I was secretly, like, mad at him for doing that, because I wanted him to be with one of them, and I'm not trying to pick sides here, but I wanted him to be with Isabel. Him and her, they just, I don't know, she's so hard-headed that I want to see someone crack her shell and let her, like, become vulnerable with someone. And that's when I love it, when she has that conversation with him about seeing her two brothers fall in love, and she wants that. And that really, like, I don't know, made me love Isabel even more as the character. I think her and Simon are probably my favorite characters now out of the whole series, because you find out so much more about them. And their character development, I think alone in this book, just says it all for themselves. Like, they are amazing characters and add so much to the storyline. So then you got introduced to Jordan / Kyle, whatever. I think that's a weird name, Jordan Kyle. I don't know. When I read that, I was like, that's his last name. So he has like 2 first names? That's weird. But at first I was determined that he was going to be like an evil type of person before we realized it, because when he just pops up and into the band, I thought he was trying to like kill Simon or something, but turns out to be pretty good, and I really like his character. I'm excited to see in the next book where him and Maya go from here, if they're going to make it as a couple again, because I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm good at guessing, so I hope that they are, but you never know. There was another part in the book, I don't know if they might say it in the next book or not, but I was really curious when Magnus was talking to Camille about him and Alec, and the whole age thing, about the whole thing with Alec aging and Magnus not, kind of like that would kill any relationship. But it seems like every time Alec brings it up, Magnus is trying to tell him something. And just in my own guess, I bet in that book of, is it the Book of the White or the Book of the Gray? I can't remember. I bet there's like a spell or something that Magnus can do to make either him age or make Alec stay the same age or something like that, so that they can be together forever. Like, that's just my theory. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Magnus is either finding a way to do that, or he has found a way and he's just trying to spring it on Alec at the right moment. Because it seems like Magnus is always trying to say something, but gets cut off by Alec. So I'm kind of curious to see how that happens. But the biggest thing I wanted to mention about this book was the very end, when Sebastian came to life. Holy crap, I wasn't expecting it. I mean, it only hinted that, I mean, we haven't seen the last of him when his body was gone. Like, the minute they said that they didn't find his body, I just knew. That kid's coming back. He's coming back. And just how he did it, like, holy crap. So now I'm kind of curious how that's going to affect Jace, now that he's got Jace, I'm guessing. Him and Jace are bound together, and wowza. Killing, and the whole Lilith killing part, just that whole last like 2 chapters of the book were just awesome. There was so much action going on, and oh my gosh, I don't know how to begin to explain it, but I guess that's just my feelings of the book. I'm just more anxious to read this next book that I've already started it, but yikes, I'm just speechless now. Yeah, I think out of all the twists in the book, that one, like, I've just been more anxious to see what happens with Sebastian. I just didn't see him coming back to take Jace and make them bound. I just saw him trying to kill more people. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really anxious, and like I said, this is definitely a really good book. I'm so glad I picked it up, and yeah, you guys will see me again soon to do my review on the next book, City of Lost Souls. Definitely check that out, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!